very much, and good afternoon, everyone. After the lunch, not making you drowse, but it is an important topic which we have to address. So, not wasting much time, I just wanted everyone to actually stick to the topic of climate and then be sharp because there's so much to ask and get from you. So, I will cut them off if they are going to be too short, too long. The background is very clear. We have to do collective action, and in order to manage the decarbonization, it's not one person's job or someone else's responsibility, but it's all collective action. So, without wasting much time, right now, what is happening is that we have a system of you take the risk, we share the fruits. That system, I think, need to change, and for that, we probably need to understand how things need to be changed. Today, if you're looking at manufacturer takes all the responsibility, all the risk, all investments, and then at the end of the day, everyone will benefit the fruit of it. Now, in order to set this tone for collective action, I would like to first ask Vidura that I will give you. That let me ask you what is the fundamental principle which is needed to be the ground principles to be needed to create the fundamental of collective action. What do you mean by collective action?
Thank you, Dr. Siva. So I think you gave half of the answer. To me, collective action has three pieces. It's shared ownership, it's shared responsibility, and it's shared risk. If you look at what is going on now in decarbonization, we all agree that decarbonization is an industry goal. That goal is shared by the brands, that goal is shared by the manufacturers. But how the work is allocated, because bulk of the emissions happen in the manufacturing side, the whole way that we are approaching the problem is to pass the full responsibility of manufacturer decarbonization purely to the manufacturer. Now, what would a different way of looking at it look like? Because if you want to do an investment, everybody spoke about investment, everybody spoke about the solutions, but those solutions must be paid by the manufacturer. They must borrow money to do that, taking both the project risk and the financial risk of the operation. This, I don't think, is neither equitable, no is it collective, no it's going to work. So why we are having this problem is that of decarbonization not happening fast enough in the apparel supply chain is because it's not a shared ownership and shared responsibility. So if you ask me what are the key things that has to happen, is that let's take something simple as financing. It cannot be purely laid on the manufacturer and it cannot be purely on debt because it's manufacturer risk. So we need to look at solutions that allows us to spread that risk across the complete value chain as opposed to one entity in the value chain holding this.
Thank you. I will come back to you all again. Now let me go back to the extreme end, to Moin. You are working towards the decarbonization with your suppliers.
Hello.
Now, how does your collective action is what you see on the ground and how is it now on how you are looking at in the future? Right now, we are just in the starting phases of the decarbonization. What principles we set to start with, do you think that that is the right path? Or do you think that there are challenges and we need some adjustments moving forward?
Thank you very much. First of all, I was trying to get hold of my breath. I was trying how long I could, stop and keep my breath on. But for all of us, like probably for some times we can hold it, but not for so long. So same goes for us. We cannot, keep our breath, and we have to take the breath, fresh breath to live on. First of all, thank you very much to you and also all the panelists and as well as Bangladesh Apparel Forum for inviting us. And to tell about Puma, what we are doing, we actually engaged both with our partners, which is suppliers, And we are also taking initiatives for decarbonizing. Not only, before coming to decarbonizing, it goes with the product circularity, it goes with the people, who are engaged doing the product and production. And then we look into also the environment where the decarbonization really play a role, where, we are looking into, we are partnering with like IFC, where we are engaged with PACT for cleaner textile in Bangladesh, and we are doing it for many years. And as well as we are also taking this initiative to other part of our sourcing. And also we are engaged with ZIZ, on solar, green renewable energies. And what we do, like we actually set a science-based strong targets. And these targets we share with our partners, and we also support them, wherever it is necessary. And then we work closely, and we are also partner with, like since 2021, we are partner with a lot of, global partners where we get support from the technologies. And then we work closely with the supplier, and we set few of our supplier who covers at least 20 suppliers who covers 40 to 50% of the business globally, and work with them, network with them, and share with them like what actually they are achieving. And we also share, train them like what is important in coming days and what can really benefits us in coming days, meeting those targets, science-based targets that we have setting up.
Just to add on and ask for my understanding, do you drive it, or do you listen to them and then change the model? How does it work?
Initially, we set our target. Like at the moment, we have, if you look into puma.com, you'll see we have 10 for 25. Like we have 10 different areas where like this decarbonizing and also environmental and also social areas that we are looking at. And we set this target initially, and then we go, because we had to work with different stakeholders who supported us to build up these science-based targets. And then we put it into our agendas, and then we share with our partners, with the supply chain, and then work together to make it happen.
Okay. So let me come back to Mr. Asauddin, Asajuba. Now we have a lot of legislations, and you are working with a lot of regulatory bodies and in EU. And do you see that these legislations which are leading collectively, and our collective action is part of your agenda, and how does EU is looking at it from the regulatory perspective as well as from the action and implementation perspective?
Thank you so much for having me here. Yes, European Union as a union with 27 countries, as my colleagues said in the morning and also in the afternoon, we are working as a team Europe initiative. But other than that, individually, like I'm from the embassy of the Netherlands, so we have several initiatives. We are working with the government, civil society, and private sectors. And our actions are visible. Like last month, we had this the Best of Bangladesh initiatives where we were supporting. But we are also supporting for several initiatives like multi-stakeholder coordinations uh, and also collaborations in different aspects, and to achieve shared responsibility in terms of green transition. And regarding climate change issues, we have, many activities you can, list, because currently we are also doing few things that is basically, very much important for government of Bangladesh and also some other developing countries. We are sharing our resources, technology and different other management supports, so that regionally we can have our target fulfilled And also at global level, other than UNFCCC of Conference of Parties, we have several other coalitions where member states and including the Netherlands play a vital role for the initiatives, and everyone is working on that. Especially for this green transition, I would like to, emphasize here for your note that we are closely working with the environment, social, and governance perspectives to achieve the nationally determined contributions of the government of Bangladesh, as well as we have several other standards to achieve and fulfill. Those we are closely working with. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And Vidura, I will come back to you about the simple question on how much of representation as a manufacturer you are getting in these forums as well as action points.
Sure. I think that question goes to heart of the issue. We know, for example, there's quite a lot of legislation that's coming up in EU that's already been put in place, and they are targeted to the brands that are operating in EU. But the way the implementation works is that there's a direct impact on how the supply chain behaves. Now, so we are in essence being regulated by EU without being able to have a voice at the table in the way that regulation and the legislation is formed. So this, I think, is creating a bit of a challenge because we see a lot of the legislation will fail in its own intent because not having that correct perspective in terms of how it should be designed to get the proper outcome when it comes to supply chain. But let me also say something about another angle of what collective action means for me. Quite a lot of the time, I as apparel manufacturer has no power to set my own targets because my targets for decarbonization is actually set by my brands. Now the expectation is as a manufacturer, I don't have agency to set my own targets, but I'm expected to have agency to deliver on the target that is set up by somebody else, taking the full risk. So a lot of the work that we define as collective action from our brand partners starts from setting targets as well as maybe working with us in terms of setting a roadmap. Now, those are all important things and those are valuable things. There's no doubt about it. But unless the collective part extends to execution, unless the collective part extends to risk, I don't think a lot of things are going to happen. So I think the question is that how do we shift the collective part on, it's about having voice and political power so that we go and sit in front of the EU Commission when the legislation is being drafted as partners, as well as we sit next to each other as partners and figure out how we are going to do decarbonization, how we are going to take the risk, how we're going to share the risk, how we're going to share both financial and technical resources. So this is a radical departure from a model where the brands come and say, okay, you need to do this, because that model does not work anymore. And I think the invitation here is that as we start embarking ourselves in a new journey about rapid decarbonization, unless we are ready to challenge the fundamental assumptions on how our relationships as brands and manufacturers are built and willing to change, the kind of decarbonization we are expecting is unlikely going to happen.
Understand. And now I move to Mr. Tanvir about the role as an industry organization. You represent the industry, and you also need to have your internal people's voices. And what is it that you are looking at? How you think that the organization is being representing and also being taking part of collective action rather than collectively taking action? You understand what I mean is collective action and not collectively taking action.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for this very technical question and explaining to me. I'm representing EPZ authority, so we have the opportunity to deal with like at least 450 enterprises, and Vidura knows me, and he has given me some tasks because we have not been able to give them the net metering. There is some technicality there, but we are receptive to that. We are receptive to the causes, and before answering your question, I just wanted to take some time to just let you know about what EPZs are doing in terms of like taking action in terms of how this decarbonization plan. So very recently, just for example, just real life example, from an authority's point of view, we have incorporated in our lease agreements when we are giving signing lease agreement with the new investors, specifically mentioning about having rainwater harvesting, having the solar plant, and even where it is in the lease agreement right now, and also giving incentivization for any kind of green efforts. Then again, it's not us, it's collective action, or as you said, and number of issues are there. Say for recently, EPIC has requested to import solar panels and duty free. Now, what we're finding, solar panel is a set. Like inverter involved there, the panels are there, so a lot of things. So when, like in some cases, in a list SROs, they have mentioned, say for 2 items, say 85.02. So 2 items getting duty free. Then again, when you bring in, then you are ended up paying almost 25 to 26%. But that's not our, like we are representing our investors. Then we have to take this thing to NBR. Then NBR member, he is ready, when a government authority is talking with them, so definitely they're listening and then also they're recognizing. Now, there's some miscommunications, we have to explain them out. And also I wanted to refer to the recent UN Assembly speech by our Honorable Prime Minister. You see how importance we are giving as a country, this Mujib Action Plan, and then again, she also mentioned about, and that's collective thing, I also wanted to bring another perspective she's bringing in there, that 0.47% we are actually as a country, contributing to emission. But then again, we are the most vulnerable country. So one point she has drawn. So it's not only in like our country-wise, I have to think it internationally. So this shared responsibility does not only to, we have to tackle, is the whole world should be there. I know what I only mean, probably we all understand. So it has this shared responsibility in the international level, and obviously in the regional level, even in my organization level, I already told you that what actions we are taking. So that's there. Like we are also in EPZs, including EPIC, we have almost 17 LEED certified and gold platinum certified industries are there, and we're working towards that. The whole country is actually we're working towards that, and as a regulatory body, we're recognizing all these issues, and we are actually taking actions very proactively, and we're engaging with our investors time to time to address their issues. So that's our point. Collectively, we're working on that. I don't know whether I
No, I wanted to add on. I wanted to, because you partly answered my question, so I wanted to still continue with you. One more extra question on how you are representing the organizations which you represent in the forums on decarbonization, regulatory requirements, funding, access to the funding. How are you representing? Are you going to be only taking the actions from your members and then be a voice, or you are going to be acting like a lawyer, or you are going to be acting like a advocating requirements, and how, what is your role?
Thank you. We are a facilitating body, like BEPS, EPZs. We're investment promotion organizations. So our focus is on facilitating. So obviously we are not the regulator in that perspective, but we are taking this up. So when it's needed to go to NBR, we're going with my investors. Where it's needed to go to Bangladesh Bank, Central Bank to find incentives. And our ministry is PMO, so one of the topmost organization there. So we're taking this up to PMO when we feel that my investor needs it. So we have some reporting requirements. So it's kind of a collective action again, that some changes in the policy level changes which can make things easier for us. So that reflection is there. So our role is not directly, but we are facilitating, we're advocating rather in these cases.
Understand.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now I'm go to the Madam Moshina, Yasmin. So, how BIDA is specifically incentivizing and to attract investments, and the about the mainly the low carbon investments, which are not low hanging fruits and which require lot of investment and no ROIs discussions, and also to not just the big players but everyone equally. How is it is your journey on that, and what are the key observations and takeaways from there?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, distinguished panelists, distinguished audiences. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to be a panelist in the most timely and important event. Bangladesh Climate Action Forum 2023 will be an important forum to address the decarbonization and sustainability causes. The topic of this session is also very important as because the cause of decarbonization and sustainability is a very collective action. And like my other colleague, Mr. Tanvir, I want to tell you about our organization. My organization is a organization which which facilitates, gives some regulatory licenses, advocates for the investment promotion, and these are the activities of my organizations. For the licenses, we are giving licenses to the industrial projects. And when we give them the licenses, like Mr. Tanvir said, we give some terms and conditions that, like, they have to rain harvest, they cannot pollute the environment. But the problem is we only give them the terms and conditions, but we cannot have the ability or enough people to see whether they are compliant or not, because we have almost 30 to 40,000 industries in the country which is under our jurisdiction, and it is not possible for my office with a 406 personnel to monitor the compliances. So what we do, if we have any information that somebody is not complying the terms and conditions of environment, if we have been reported, what we can do, we can cancel the registration. That is a only regulatory power to us. But our registration doesn't mean that they can be, if they don't take the registration, we cannot do anything. Because they can, without our registration, they can carry on their activities. Now, for the carbon, and recently we are going to formulate a investment policy. So from joining this forum, I think when we formulate the policy, we will include these activities in the policy, so that we can make some policy recommendation or policy suggestions that the government or organizations collectively can have a device or tool, so that we can monitor the compliance issues about the environment issues. And this forum will give me the opportunity to, so that I can tell my office or the persons who are devising the policy, so that we can include these activities in our policy, so that when we give any, we can attract green investments in the country. That's one the position. And already my colleague said that we have a Mujib plan for the climate. So there are many policies and issues has been included. So we will adhere to that policies and issues and try to give to promote the investments who are green investment, who are not, those are not polluting the environments. We are always keeping in our consideration that the industries who may pollute the environment, we will not give them the registration. Thank you very much from my side.
Understood, madam. Thank you. You made it very clear. Madam, sorry for being the last, but you are very important. No, and so my point for you is, how do you balance? How do you balance the risk and impact? Because you are here to create impact. Now, how do you balance the risk and impact across the supply chains And what is your role as GIZ, which is doing this in organizing such a playing? Because you have been actively playing a engagement role with governments, brands, and supply chain partners. So I think one such example here, what we see as a collective action is you. And then what is the risk? How are you balancing the risk and impact?
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I would like to take this platform as a great opportunity for me. Thank you for me having here. To answer the question, when someone asked me how to do the balancing, so to balance the risk and impact in any supply chain, I do feel like it's like walking in a tightrope. It requires tremendous amount of collaborative action from every external, internal stakeholders, and also careful consideration. So in this regard, I would like to mention to highlight the risk and its associated impact within a supply chain. It is very necessary to promote the capacity development and awareness among all the stakeholders, including the brands, manufacturers, and also the stakeholders from the government end. So they can get the perspective, like how the risk will be impacting the overall climate and having the negative or positive impact on the supply chain. And also by implementing it, how are they going to get the targeted impact on their climate change or through their tentative improved supply chain. So this is one thing. And to do this, engaging all the stakeholders under one umbrella is very important. It is very important and vital to engage all the multiple stakeholders, which will include the civil society, business, manufacturer, brands, and also the governments under one umbrella in this delicate dance. So under this context, if we talk about the development organizations like us, GIZ is one of the examples, we have in a very ideal position to do this. Mostly, GIZ have conducting for quite a long time and also launching new programs for capacity development, for not only for the private sectors, but also for the stakeholders from the government side. So it actually gives a push for the overall industry to implement within the sector and to have an impact in the supply chain in the long run. So this is one through which the GIZ is actually having and creating an impact within this overall supply chain. Next, I would like to highlight one thing, that we can actually work as a mediator. Since our many projects are working with different stakeholders, some are working with brands, manufacturers, and some are directly working with the policymakers. So we can actually create a very neutral space for all the stakeholders where they can come up with their issues, they can share their practical experiences, problems, and also have an open discussion with the other stakeholders or the relevant stakeholders. And mostly I have seen that such open dialogue forums have helped most of the stakeholders to come up with very mutually beneficial solutions for them. So which is, I feel, a very important role that organizations like us is playing and in future can play in better position. And third, I would like to emphasize, we also have a good position to play a role in impacting the cycle of your social transition towards a new technology. For example, transition to renewable energy. We do provide the technical support and expertise training on all these things, which facilitates the manufacturers, all the brands to take the initiatives to implement all those strategies within their facilities for quite a long time. And also in the long run, they actually implement it and get the benefits from those, I would say, initiatives. And finally, the one main major part, we can also play the role of advocacy for bringing the change in policy or amendment or any updates that is required to be made in the policy as per our set target to be achieved within the estimated timeline. Since it's an open forum for us to communicate with both the parties, so it usually gives I would say, a competitive advantage that helps us to make sure that all parties' needs are served in one plate and we can be a mediator for them to negotiate all these things. And many projects are currently doing all these things, which is a good part, I would say, in Bangladesh, that development organizations are currently proactively involving in associating and also trying to enhancing these initiatives in this supply chain. So I would say this is a very good positive side of our organization like GIZ. So thank you.
I want to continue with you one more question.
Sure.
Because you said the positive side of the thing. So I wanted to put you into difficult situation. How easy and difficult it is to actually engage and play the moderating role, especially when someone like a brand who is telling that I want to do it by this time, and it is time bound. And when you wanted to engage with the manufacturers and innovators, which are not according to the requirement of a brand's timeline, and you are there to moderate and manage, how easy and difficult it is for you?
That's a tough question, I would definitely say, and that's a tough situation that I daily encounter in my professional life. So basically, this is one thing that I would like to highlight. In that scenario, we always onboard the brands in such scenarios. Whenever we don't get the proper responses as per the commitment of the brands that they want from our end, we definitely onboard them so that they can understand what scenarios are going on. And through the intervention of them, I have seen most of the times we come in the same page and we do resolve the issues together.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's what you are. I will go back to Puma. the point and the question which I wanted to ask is that you have the targets, they are set, they are public, they are all known to us. Now the path is not yet clear. The goal is clear. How you will go make the goal is not sure. And you as a brand, as a coach, who is our players are on the field, who are our manufacturers, you have to manage them to make sure that they all actually make the goal and at the right time, because your time is ticking. How are you doing it, and what is a success? Basically, I wanted to just understand the success. Challenges, we all know that.
It's a valid question, and challenges are there. True, and it's never easy achieve all the targets. One, like GIZ, they support us on the technology and evaluate the workplaces, how and where the possibility of doing, if we are talking about the green energy, then they give us a technical support like how to do that. But the point is, you are right, we set our target and we share this target to our partners, what we can do together. And we do session like quarterly or some periodical way, what is our achievement. I can share you in 2022, we achieved 10% of our all energy from green energy sources. So, and to achieving that, it was not easy. So we had to go and depend on some IREC to compensate and to fulfill our commitment to the stakeholders. So that was, the way we met, end of the day, our targets. And I can also share in the same time, by 2025, our plan is to make all our energy from green energy by 25%. Again, we are working in the same direction. First, we work with the supplier, where and how they can really invest, and we take technical support from GIZ and other stakeholder who can do and does that support, and also where they can do. We also need the challenges. One is our supplier cannot buy the power they cannot purchase power from other sources, the green purchase. So that is a strategic kind of a support need from the government. So which is a challenge at the moment. If that can be done, that can facilitate to the supplier to really buy the green energy from the third party, or even by themselves producing in different places and then put into their account on that facility. So that's how they can facilitate that. And to sum it up, we monitor, we coach them, we take support from the technical expert, and we work as a team together, and we go one by one, and we see how and where we progress, and in the end, we support where necessary, like IREC is one of the example.
Understand. Now I have one question to everyone. I will start from here in the same order. Give me two challenges. Don't repeat the same challenge. Give me two challenges in short in achieving the goalpost. Yeah.
So, at EPIC, we have a 50% absolute carbon reduction plan by 2030. It's a very tight timeline. I think the key challenge is how do we work with our brand partners in getting there. And I can tell you a couple of solutions that we are working with, because first one is how do we share resource, which is financing, because it's not about knowing what we do. We know exactly what we need to do. The question is how do we finance it. So one of the ways that we are looking at is that our brand partner is funding it, and that repayment is actually tied down to a product discount. What does it do? It changes the power dynamic, because if there's no orders, I don't pay back. So to me, this is one example of how collectively we create new solutions that address some of the problems that traditional lending process works. The second one is, if I'm going to hit my 50% absolute reduction, in addition to at least halving my existing factory footprint, I need to build all my new facilities as zero carbon. So how do we do that collectively? So one of the things that we are doing is that some of our new factories that are coming up is collaboratively designed with our brand partners who's providing very particular specific skill that is very difficult to find, as well as supporting us on a financial model that works, that we can implement. So the way to look at it is, I don't like the word coach and players, because I'm not a player. I'm a partner with my brand, and we work in a mutually acceptable way, agreeable way, matching each other's weak points.
Okay, it's my very personal opinion. So whenever I think of this, why we are all talking about it, working for it, but why is it not happening? So it's very my personal observation that when I work with government, I feel that they do have a roadmap or their supervision, super thought process regarding one issue. Brands have different issues, but we all are working for one thing. So I do feel if we can collaborate all the things together, create a one roadmap, create some indicators year-wise, we can evaluate them. I think it's going to be very easy to reach the milestone for us. Everyone is working, but we just need to give a proper direction so that everyone can reach together there. Thank you.
From my side, what we understand that as a government organization for the decarbonization and sustainability issues, it is a very broad issue and it needs many collaborators and actors, and bringing them into the same umbrella is the most challenging one, because from BIDA we cannot have any authority to make them do all the compliances. We can only just say them, tell them or request them, but to be compliant or be a green investor, it is very hard to bring them under his umbrella to understand collectively. This is a shared activities. BIDA cannot alone do this. There are other stakeholders, ministries, they have to come forward. And from my experience, I see that it is difficult to bring them in the one umbrella so that we can collectively act on these issues. And the other thing is, these issues needs very big amount of capital investment, which BIDA cannot provide any funds for these compensate their issues. So I think these two are the main challenges for BIDA to work on it. Thank you very much.
I would echo our sir, but the main point I would like to focus on is that I think we have a policy in place. Like if you talk about our national policy, our Honorable Prime Minister's focus, our action plan, these are there. You also have your brand has their objective, the manufacturer, suppliers have theirs. But thing is that it has to be coordinated. So we have our own goals, but there need to be a platform. That would be the biggest challenge, like, like this forum. This forum is actually bringing all us together. So this kind of initiative is needed to streamline our work plan. So that's very important, I would say. That would be the challenge.
Just one thing, that is the policy gaps, which is delaying the transition. Number one. Two is like effective, meaningful collaboration. It's always challenging, and that needs follow up, and we are there to support. And there are a few other things to take into consideration. That is, we are here today, and we should keep the pace so that we can, achieve our target. Thank you.
One line. Just to conclude with, the mindset has changed. So I'm not going into the difficulties that we are having or facing challenges. I must say, the changes took places for all the entrepreneurs, who are actually helping to make it happen. The mindset has changed. People accept, and the entrepreneur accepted, like this has to be done for our survival. So no need, on that, but the policy support, and also like how they can do it, the technological support that can really eliminate and go into the next level. Thank you.
So time is up, but I wanted to just summarize with the key initiatives to take away: shared responsibility, shared risk, shared ownership, capital and collaboration, creating awareness, capacity building, technology support, policy gaps, and get all of them together to moderate and monitor. So these are the key things which we need to work on. Now that we know, we should work on it. Thank you very much. Thank you all for actually making your typing.
Thank you very much. Requesting all of you to stand up and pose for a group photograph.